407 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal, a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Abraham Lincoln, 16th President of the United States of America, in his Gettysburg Address. Democracy is the most dominant form of government in the world. In a democracy, the people exercise the authority of government. Democracy has got different cornerstones: freedom of assembly, speech, inclusiveness, equality, consent, voting, right to life, and minority rights. Democracies are of two types: direct and indirect or representative, sometimes parliamentary or presidential. A variant of modern democracy is liberal democracy. Constitution limits the majority and protects the minority. Origin of democracies can be traced in city states such as classical Athens and the Roman Republic. Larry Diamond, a famous American political scientist, claims four elements of democracy: free and fair elections, popular participation, human rights, and rule of law. The word democracy comes from Greek words. Demos means common people, and kratos means strength or rule. History can be traced back to Magna Carta, English Civil War, the Glorious Revolution, the Bill of Rights, the American War of Independence, the French Revolution, and the formation of nation states. Good morning. This is Shine Matthew. Our democratic journey continues. Democratic politics too. Chapter number 1, power sharing. What do you mean by power sharing? Power sharing is a policy agreed between political parties or within a condition to share responsibility for decision making and political action. Power is shared, number 1, among different organs of the government: legislature, executive, and the judiciary. Legislature is the legislative body of a country. Executive, relating to or having the power to put plans or actions into effect. Judiciary, the system of courts that interprets and applies the laws in the name of the state. Number 2, among governments at different levels. Number 3, among different social groups. Number 4, among different political parties, pressure groups, and movement groups. In this chapter, we have got main topics like Belgium and Sri Lanka, case studies, the ethnic composition, and related issues. Number 2, majoritarianism in Sri Lanka. Number 3, accommodation in Belgium and Belgian model of power sharing. Number 4, why power sharing is desirable. And number 5, different forms of power sharing. Belgium. Belgium is a small country in Western Europe, known for its medieval towns, Renaissance architecture, and as headquarters of the European Union and NATO. Its capital is Brussels. The government is federal, parliamentary, constitutional monarchy. Its legislature is bicameral. Ranks 17th in HDI, Human Development Index. It's very high. Borders with France, the Netherlands, Germany, and Luxembourg. Its size is less than that of Haryana. Population is half of Haryana's, more than 1 crore. But it has got a complex ethnic composition. 59% lives in Flemish region and speaks Dutch. 40% lives in Wallonia region and speaks French. 1% speaks German. Capital region has got a different story. The capital region, Brussels, has 80% French speakers and 20% Dutch speakers. The minority French-speaking community, comparatively rich and powerful. But Dutch-speaking got economic development and education much later. That resulted tension between both the ethnic groups, the Dutch and the French. Brussels, Dutch is minority. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is an island nation in South Asia, located in the Indian Ocean, southwest of the Bay of Bengal. Officially, the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. Capital is Sri Jayawardhanapura Kota. Government is unitary, semi-presidential, constitutional republic. Its population is same as Haryana's, 2 crore people. But it's diverse. Majority Sinhala speakers, about 74%. Tamil speakers, second ethnic group, 18%. Among Tamils, Sri Lankan Tamils, 13%. Indian Tamils, 5%. Those who migrated as plantation workers. Sri Lankan Tamils concentrated in the northeastern side. Sinhalas are mainly Buddhist. Tamils are Hindus and Muslims. And 7% Christians from both Tamils and Sinhalas. In Belgium, Dutch community can take advantage on French and German-speaking community. Result may be conflicts and partition. Both the communities claim over the capital region, Brussels. But in Sri Lanka, Sinhala is a bigger majority, can apply the will on the entire country. Majoritarianism in Sri Lanka. What is majoritarianism? Majoritarianism is a traditional political philosophy or agenda that asserts that a majority of the population is entitled to a certain degree of primacy in society and has the right to make decisions that affect the entire society. Sri Lanka got its independence in 1948 from the mighty British Empire. Majority Sinhalas started to take majoritarian measures and applied Sinhala supremacy. 1956 Act opted Sinhalese as the only official language. Many forward policies being taken. New constitution to foster Buddhism. Tamils felt alienated, unprotected culture and language, denied equal political rights, discrimination in jobs, relations strained between these two communities. Parties emerged and the struggles by Tamils for having Tamil as official language, regional autonomy, equal opportunity in education and jobs, but their demands denied. 1980s, there are 4 independent Tamil Elam estate in the northeastern side. Resulted conflicts and civil war. Civil war is a violent conflict between different communities of the same country. As a result of it, thousands killed, lost livelihood, and became refugees. Sri Lanka is a country that made excellent record of economic development, education, and health. But civil war caused setbacks to the social, cultural, and economic life. Accommodation in Belgium. Belgium recognized their differences, cultural diversities. They changed the constitution, amended the constitution 4 times in between 1970 and 1993, made a new arrangement. Elements of Belgian model. It's important. A model for democracies right across the world, especially for federal countries with a clear division of powers. Number 1, the Constitution prescribes equal number of ministers at the center from both the communities. Number 2, special laws for supporting each linguistic group. Number 3, powers given to state government, a kind of decentralization. State governments are no longer subordinated to the center. Number 4, a separate government for the capital region, Brussels. Both the communities got equal representation. French accepted equal in Brussels and Dutch accepted equal at the center. Number 5, a community government in addition to central and state governments. What is a community government? Community government is a government elected by people belonging to one language group, Dutch, French, German, no matter where they live, and has the power regarding cultural, educational, and language-related issues. Belgian model is a little bit complicated one, but it has been very successful. Avoided civic strife and division. That's why when the European Union formed, they decided to have its headquarters in Brussels. European Union is a political and economic union of 27 member states that are located primarily in Europe. Government is supranational or intergovernmental. Now the conclusion from both the context, Sri Lanka and Belgium. Both are democracies, but power sharing is different. Belgium, the unity is made sure by respecting the feelings and interest, mutually acceptable power sharing. But in Sri Lanka, it's entirely different. It's a contrasting one. But there it is, majority domination. Why power sharing is desirable, being useful? That is because of two sets of reasons. Number one, power sharing is good. It avoids violence, political instability, political disorder, majoritarianism, disunity, tyranny. Tyranny means cruel and oppressive government or rules. Number two, very spirit of democracy. Democratic rule, power sharing is one of the basic elements in which people have the right to be consulted, how to be governed. Legitimacy of the government is through popular participation. What is a legitimacy? Legitimacy is conformity to the law or to rules, ability to be defended with logical justification and validity. First set of reasons are prudential. Prudential means based on calculation of gains and losses, which offers better outcomes, avoids conflict. It's nice. Smooth functioning of the society can be made sure by sharing power. Second set of reason is moral. It makes valuability of power sharing. See it? It's a moral responsibility of the political leaders to consult the public, the ultimate source of power, before taking a decision. Next topic is forms of power sharing. It's a contrast between power sharing and undivided political power. Early societies used to have the notion of concentration of power, one person, one place, one decision. But it is easy to make quick decisions and enforcement in a monarchical form of government, difficult in a democracy. Why? Decisions are delayed in democracy. One of the arguments against democracy. But most of the countries in the modern world are democracies. People are the source of power, ultimate source of power. People rule themselves through self-government institutions. Self-government institution is the management of local offices by such local bodies who have been elected by the local people. Good democracies respect diversity, voice of everyone to be heard in policies or policy making or decision making of the country. Which are the power sharing arrangements in modern democracies? Power is shared among different organs of the government. Power is shared among governments at different levels. Power is shared among different social groups. And power is shared among different political parties, pressure groups, and movement groups. Number one, power is shared among different organs of the government. It is legislature, executive, and judiciary. Application of the theory of separation of powers. Separation of powers, Montesquieu, the spirit of the laws. It's a horizontal distribution of power. Means placement at the same level and exercise different powers. It prevents unlimited powers. It's a kind of checks and balances or a balance of power. Ministers and bureaucrats responsible to the parliament or state assemblies. Judiciary checks legislation through judicial review. Judicial review is checking constitutionality. It's a kind of system of checks and balances. Do you know, in Indian context, it's a not completely separation of powers, fusion of powers between the legislature and the political executive. Check it out. Number 2, among governments at different levels, a general government for the whole country, governments at provincial and regional levels. The country level government is known as federal government. In India, central or union government. Provincial and regional levels known in different names in different countries. In India, they are known as state governments. Countries are there with no local government. In Indian context, we have got a huge population and a vast territory. Constitution lays down the powers. Belgium is an example, not in Sri Lanka. In Belgium, it is called federal division. For example, in Indian context, central government at the top, state governments, municipality, panchayat. Division, a kind of division in higher and lower levels. That is known as vertical division of power. So federal division of power is known as vertical division of power, means it is placement of different governments vertically and giving different powers. Number 3, power is shared among different social groups, especially religious and linguistic groups. Community government in Belgium is an example. What is necessary here? Constitutional and legal arrangements. In Indian context, socially weaker sections and women are getting their share in legislature and administration. The system of reserved constituencies. It's a kind of acceptance of social diversity. Minority communities get a fair share. Number 4, power is shared among different political parties, pressure groups, and movements. India, the largest democracy in the world. Freedom of choice, one of the elements of a democracy. But freedom of choice offers us competition among different political parties. Power changing and sharing is very common. Different political parties join together sometimes with the different ideologies and social groups. The government is not most of the time formed by a single party. In such cases, coalition governments or alliances of different political parties. A coalition government is a government formed as a result of alliances of 2 or more political parties. Power is shared among different political parties by having coalition governments. Interest groups like traders, businessmen, industrialists, farmers, and industrial workers indirectly participate in an election. And they try to just influence by having a vote bank. Power is shared by having participation in governmental committees or bringing influence on the decision-making process through different procedures. Thank you.